Everyone, welcome back from the lunch break. Thank you for joining us for this session. And thank you, Christoph and Mikhail, for sharing your insights with us today. I will start with a question. In the past years, we have seen a lot of rising geopolitical tensions, from the shipping disruptions to new conflict zones affecting travel and businesses. How are your clients adapting to their strategies to this less predictable world?
Yeah, I think they will, they go to more different places. Yeah, many people still continue to live in Europe or other probably affected areas, but they start building parallel setups. So for example, South and South America or the South Pacific is probably in the long term a place which won't be near any major conflicts and wars, will be relatively secure, will be relatively self-sufficient as well. So it totally makes sense for people to get a residency or even citizenship down in Chile, Argentina, Vanuatu, New Zealand, and so on. So you don't need to move there directly. You just need a plan B in those territories to be safe for the future. Yeah.
To build on what Christoph is saying, and I agree with Christoph, the majority of my clients are not digital entrepreneurs. They're not startup companies or something like that. The majority of my clients are established business owners. These are men and women who have 40, 50, 100 staff under them. They might be highly paid professionals. They might own a brick and mortar type of business. What I'm really seeing as the trend right now is that these people are done. Especially in the US and in Canada, they don't feel appreciated anymore. These are productive members of society who've actually built and created something, and they're done. They're selling their business. It's going to private equity. They're closing it down. They're selling it off or breaking it apart, and they're taking their money and they're leaving. And really, that's what we're seeing. And they are coming down to Latin America and the Caribbean and excellent places that Christoph highlighted there. But the main point is that a lot of productive members of society are just finished. They're fed up with what's happening in the world.
Thank you. Can we kindly ask people who are still having lunch to talk a bit quieter? Yes. Thank you. So the second question. In the past few years, another concerning trend is that we've seen many Western governments taking a harder line on global mobility. So closing residency by investment schemes, limiting tax exemptions for expat, tightening offshore compliance rules. Do you see this as a temporary political cycle or a sign of a long-term shift against greater mobility?
So let me jump in first on this one. The main thing that I have seen, and I would love to get Christoph's opinion, is the difficulty in banking at the moment. I think it is a giant pendulum, and it has swung very far in one direction. It really seems to me that the banks are getting out of the money business, and compliance and KYC and AML, anti-money laundering, has just absolutely gone crazy. What I'm telling all of my clients is 3 is the new 1. So for every adult in your household, for every corporation, for every business, for every family foundation or trust or whatever it is you have, the responsible way is to have redundancy after redundancy. So what we're doing is setting up corporate bank accounts and personal bank accounts where 1 used to be enough. Now every single thing has to have 3 of them, because it is often a domino effect. So a quick story, I had a client of mine, and they went to go put some money in the account. They got called into the bank and they said, "You've put more than $1 million through this account this year." And it's like, yeah, it was a good year. It was an excellent year, And they're like, yeah, we don't like that. We're going to close down your account. You've got 7 days to get your money out. So took the money, put it into another account. Now the other bank said, whoa, you've just deposited, $300,000 in this account. What's going on? And it's like, well, I had to get the money out of that account. Great. Your account is closed. You need to get the money out of here. Moved it to another one, and same type of thing. They didn't close the other one, but they froze the account until a lot of documentation was done. So you can often have these domino effects. Now, this is not a permanent solution. I think that the permanent solution will be something in a Bitcoin type of structure. But right now, what I think is that 3 is the new 1. We need to have multiple accounts. We need to protect ourselves. We do have to understand that we're under attack with all of these types of things. And it is getting more difficult. Now, to your original point, is this a trend? Is this going to reverse? Yes, I think eventually that compliance is going to have to realize that they need to calm down on these things, that not everyone is a narco-trafficante, Russian oligarch, money laundering, arms dealer, right? We're just ordinary people trying to protect our family. We're entrepreneurs. We're building businesses. We're trying to serve others, but it's going to take a little bit of time for this.
So you basically get punished for being productive. And
Correct. And to go back to my original point, productive members of society are under attack. They're being pushed out. We had an excellent conversation about this last night. I think at the end of the day, they want you gone. They don't want you there. The powers that be, or the upper echelons, they don't want you anymore, and they're pushing you out. I do an amazing amount of Canadian exits for my clients, and I had someone ask me, they're like, "You're doing the disposition, you're doing the exit. Are they auditing you guys?" And I was like, "No, they're not auditing anyone. They just want you out. Like, that's it. Like, they don't care. As long as you leave, then they're happy." So, and if you don't leave, I think it's going to get violent. I think it's going to get a lot worse. So right now, it's like they're showing you the door. You have an opportunity to leave peacefully. I suggest you take it. And if you don't, I don't want to see what the next rung will be.
Yeah, maybe to add on Mikhail's argument, it's not so important to have multiple bank accounts on like one setup. It's very important to have like multiple regulatory and compliance setups. For example, I still have a European address and tax number I open some platforms with. I have a US tax number and address I open some others with. And I have a couple of non-EU and non-American, like development country setups where I open other platforms with. So like different blocks give different opportunities, and you can really outplay them. Yeah. And to the original point, I think it's a contrasting development because most developing nations really see the advantages of global mobility and really draw entrepreneurs and investors into their countries. Even in the last months, there's so many new countries offering residency by investment, citizenship by investment. And it's a very positive sign. Over the last couple of decades, there were around 15 to 20 citizenship by investment programs. Now there are almost 30, and it's growing. So more and more countries actually see it's wise to compete with global talent and global capital. And honestly, if the European Union closes down those schemes, that's the best sign that you shouldn't come there. So go away, like Mikhail said.
100%.
Thank you. Even jurisdictions that once were seen as safe havens have started rewriting the rules. So take Dubai, where both Christoph and I are based, has just introduced the corporate tax. Regulatory certainty isn't what it used to be. How do you de-risk in this new climate?
Yeah, Dubai is a great example. I used to be a resident in Dubai, had a company there. I came there during the pandemic, before the corporate tax. 1 year later, the corporate tax came. It was okay. Still didn't push me. Then like 1 year ago, I was audited. I didn't even use the Dubai company, but it was like 10 hours of work to get this audit done, hundreds of signatures. And now Dubai basically has a tax authority, and they start authorities on many other things. I just read last week, now you need an extra license if you live in Dubai and make marketing about Dubai. Yeah, bring people to Dubai. So it gets controlled anymore. And once these authorities are in place, they don't want to get out of place. Yeah, they will always make more regulation. So you have this worrying bureaucracy in Dubai increasing, and I think at some point that will make people leave again. At the moment, it's still a great place to live. But I think in the long term, once these development starts, they are pretty hard to stop. Yeah.
Do you think they will reconsider it if there will be more pressuring competitions from places like people here are building, like the ZS, for example?
That can happen. I mean, there's this very nice sentence from the founder of Dubai. Like, we rode on camels and our children have everything and our grandchildren will ride on camels again. And I think that will exactly happen in Dubai.
Shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. I lived in Abu Dhabi and Dubai from 2011 to 2019. The year I left was when they put in a 5% VAT. And I called it there. I was like, this is the beginning of the end. As soon as you start building a tax authority that they'll never be satisfied. And I'm very happy with my decision that I left. Now, I had a great time for almost a decade in the UAE. I think that they have been an example for a lot of places what is possible, but I think it is on a negative trajectory right now.
Beyond the traditional safe havens like Dubai or Singapore, which emerging jurisdictions you think are quietly becoming attractive for borderless entrepreneurs? Maybe places that are still under the radar?
Well, I think it's interesting, you know, I don't know about under the radar, but a country that a lot of people still don't pay attention to, even though I've been yelling from the rooftops for many years, is Panama. I've been based out of Panama for the last 6 years. You walk around there, it's incredibly safe. It is absolutely gorgeous. You have everything there. The tax authority, the territorial tax is at the constitutional level. It's very difficult to change the constitution. So it's not just one administration which is going to come in and just kind of reverse things or flip-flop or anything like that. And anyways, Raul Molino, our president there, is right-leaning pro-business. So, you know, this is... they have a history of being on the right side of these things for many, many decades. And people don't understand that Panama is not just a plan B for Canadians or Europeans. It's a plan B for other Latinos like Venezuelans and Peruvians and Bolivians and Chileans. When their countries went socialist, where did the money went? It all went to Panama. You know, so this has been...
Panamanians.
See Panamanians.
I see my Panama representation. No.
Well, only one border.
There we go. Panama by heart. I don't know if you want to add...
Yeah, I mean, I'm permanent resident in Panama as well since 9 years almost. It was the first thing I did when I started out, and it was my first resident I did. The second one was Paraguay, also a very undervalued option, although now it's getting very popular because it's so easy. And it's very important that you use these opportunities as long as they stay easy. For example, 8 years ago in Panama, I got a residency with $5,000 on a bank account and a company formation. Now to get the same type of visa is 200K real estate. And to get an even better visa is even more real estate. So use all those options as long as they're still easy, because countries change their rules if they get too popular, and that makes sense for them to change it. And then it will be harder to get in if you're not terribly rich, yeah?
Yeah, it was the same visa that I went under. $5,000 in a bank deposit, you start a company, and you had instant permanent residency. Well, they looked around and went, okay, this is extremely good program, extremely cheap. We can charge a lot more for this. So they went from $500,000 to $200,000, and they changed it from a permanent residency to a temporary residency for 2 years. Now, they introduced a new visa called the Qualified Investors Visa, is a $300,000. So really, to get the comparable, it went from $5,000 to $300,000. So if you see a program out there that you're like, ooh, this looks really, really good. No worries, I'll do it later. I don't know if it'll be around later. You know, this is the same thing we're seeing in many countries. Once you start having success and the government looks around, then they're going to charge more for it. And people will pay. I mean, people are absolutely paying. We're doing more of the $300,000 than we were at the $5,000 bank deposit, okay? So I encourage you to make moves now and not sit on your hands.
Yeah, and especially in terms of companies, I always say you're much better off in common law countries, jurisdictions, yeah? Because all the civil law jurisdictions have very complicated laws and often very complicated taxes. For example, if you want to form a company in all common law jurisdictions, you can do it completely tax-free, because all of those have those tax transparent structures like limited partnerships. Most famous are the LLCs in the US. But you can have completely tax-free companies as well in England, in Ireland, in Cyprus, in Malta, in Malaysia, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. And you can really use that to your advantage, because many of these countries have high recognition, and people won't think that you're tax-free there, but you actually are. So in terms of digital entrepreneurs using companies where they're not living, this can be very nice opportunities as well. Many people are not aware of. Yeah.
Thank you. And critics of the borderless living and borderless business, you don't find them here probably, but you see them a lot in the media and in the social media. They say that this is all just about avoiding taxes and avoiding social responsibilities. How can borderless entrepreneurs contribute to the communities that they base themselves in? Can you come up with give us some inspiring examples?
Well, I think that you can actually drive the economy from, spending money and doing stuff and, using products and services. I'm not sure where the idea came from that the only way to contribute is through taxation, which is theft. If anyone wasn't clear about that, tax is theft. So, we live in Panama full time. We have a home there. We have 2 full-time nannies. We have a full-time chef. We shop and buy groceries and we do things. We engage people's services and we pay for things through, our value exchange we do with the marketplace. I don't know why you would ever need to pay tax to be able to contribute to the society that you're living in. So I guess I guess I would just wrap up this thought by saying that if you want to be an expat, if you actually want to contribute to a country, then contribute to the country. Learn about the country. Show respect by learning the language, the history, the people. Come in and actually give back. Give yourself, right? A large portion of what we do is a knowledge transfer. I'm learning from them. They're learning from me. We're a benefit to society. It doesn't have to be through taxation. There are much more effective ways, and there are much more ethical ways of doing this.
I always like asking global nomads which languages their kids speak, because I guess you have 4 kids. How many languages do they speak?
So I have 4 children. My first child was born in the UAE, my second child in Brazil, my third child in Chile, my 4th child in Mexico. My daughter speaks native level English, native level Spanish, native level Mandarin Chinese. She speaks Portuguese. She's studied Arabic and Russian in the past as well. And we just found, as of 1 week ago, we were in Kyrgyzstan. We found this amazing young lady who was 19 years old, a Russian speaker. We're going to hire her as an au pair. She's going to be coming living with us in January for 6 months. And the deal is she can only speak to the kids in Russian. So I think this is going to be really cool.
Yeah, Mikkel told it all, and especially, all those people who think that you need to contribute are mostly netto state parasites themselves. Yeah, they're not contributing to the state. They get more from what they give. And actually we and most other borderless entrepreneurs actually contribute to the states because they pay taxes. They don't pay any direct taxes. But what they pay in indirect taxes, because they have a high spending level, is more than enough to infrastructure, finance the infrastructure of the stage they actually live in. Yeah, so we don't live in the direct taxation states anymore. So why contributing? Yeah. So I think we shouldn't use this socialist argumentation that you have to contribute to a country. It's still nice. I know many people who have local projects ongoing, who want to make their neighborhood better, who want to provide healthcare and schools and whatever to the local community, and that's great. And I think it should be a voluntary option, but most people who have some leftover money from paying less taxes will do that anyway. Yeah.
Thank you. Many of your clients, Christoph and Mikhail, are already living internationally and optimizing legally. What would make them to actually move to a free city? Because the population is the ultimate kind of sign of success of any startup city. What would such jurisdiction need to offer that, say, Panama is not offering yet?
Well, I would first say those free cities shouldn't think about what they can't offer. They should first offer the same as Panama or Portugal or Dubai do, but maybe in a bit other way. For example, Dubai is very convenient, very safe, very secure, very efficient. But you cannot do some fun things there, like taking drugs, drinking too much alcohol, doing other passions which are illegal there and bring you hefty prison fines. In Panama, it's the other way around. You can do those stuff there pretty easily, but Panama has a terrible service culture, for example, and that can make you, And every jurisdiction has its advantages and disadvantages. And first, free cities need to provide a decent infrastructure in terms of living for people to come. And then, of course, I hope there's a competing market of free private cities, and then you can go there and there and there. And some Yeah, free private cities. I think Mark Edge yesterday mentioned the pervert private city, and there will be many other options for those who want to go there. Yeah? So.
Fundraising for the pervert private city.
I'm not touching that one.
That's part of the rules.
But what would this jurisdiction need to offer the free cities to compete with Panama, for example?
I think this is a difficult one. I mean, I think that there are viable options out there right now, like Panama, like Paraguay, like other countries in the world that are offering real freedom. You know, I've traveled around the world. I've met with many government officials to talk directly about doing a special economic zone, administrative region. And it's like, you're looking at it, we have a list of things, and there are certain places that hit the majority of these, and we just need one or two more. But I'm very confident that we will get there, that we will get, you know, our top 10 list of the most important things. Right now, as Christoph rightly pointed out, there is a little bit of give and take on these things. If you want to have different freedoms, then, you know, Dubai has some, Panama has others, you know, Paraguay, wherever, Portugal has others, but we need to stack these one on top of another. So if you think of, I don't know, what's a silly analogy? If we think of a piece of Swiss cheese, okay, a Swiss cheese has little holes in it, but if you stack them on top of them, all of these holes are filled, right? But eventually, in a free private city, hopefully we don't have this kind of holes in it. We can have everything in one.
Just one solid piece of cheese.
One piece of cheese. There you go. You heard it here first. One piece of cheese.
Thank you, Mikhail. And the last question from me. If you had to bet on one global trend reshaping borderless business over the next, say, 5 years, be it an AI regulation, digital currencies, migration politics, what would that be?
Yeah, I think AI is a pretty good bet, and you really see it. I see it in my work as well. We have a lot of people, freelancers in the IT sector having companies, and now I see the trend. They actually liquidate their companies. They don't have any money anymore because no one needs them anymore. Yeah, there are still many students who started studying this stuff with like thinking the world is open, and now they're all getting unemployed. And this is branching out to many other areas of life and business as well. And this also has, of course, global implications. All this AI, all the energy behind it, that will make some countries which have a lot of energy, again, the Southern Hemisphere, South and South America, Australia and New Zealand has a lot of energy, will make them much more important. They also are out of range of many like warfare, like electromagnetic bombs and so on. So I think that's one of the reasons, for example, the US is investing so much in data centers and AI in Argentina, because if there's like a Chinese or Russian attack in the US, it will basically completely wipe out the electrical infrastructure in most of the West. But Argentina is so far away that it's still safe, yeah. So I think, again, those countries will profit a lot from this boom.
I'll take the other side of this. So, I mean, I am definitely seeing AI changing a lot of these things, but you know, we run our wealth through a family office. I work with a lot of the other family offices out there. It's amazing what you can get done now with technology, with using AI on your behalf, where you used to need to spend a couple of $1 million a year to run a family office and to have someone manually do all these things. But ChatGPT 5 is incredibly powerful, so is Gemini, so is Grok and all of these other ones, that you can actually get a lot of the same type of products and services and running it through there and doing analysis on your wealth. So I think that we will see a lot of an evening of the landscape through AI. So I think it's going to be a very democratizing type of technology instead of an aristocratic type of a technology.
True. Thank you. I think, do we have time for questions from the audience? Yes, 2 questions from the audience. I see a hand here.
So, Christoph, you had an interesting comment about common law countries. And so when you think about common versus civil law as a borderless entrepreneur, how do you think about that? How do you approach that for your personal and business structure? And you could say, make money in common law countries and live in civil law countries. Or how do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing as a digital entrepreneur is you don't need your company where you live or not even where you're resident. So you can always mix that. So many common law countries have territorial taxation, foreign income isn't taxed, but they're often not the most recognized. So for example, if I live in Panama, I don't want a company in Panama. It's like with German clients very bad. There's even like some laws in Germany. If you have a Panama company, you have a lot of disadvantages. But if you live in Panama and have your company in the UK or in the US, that doesn't matter, and you're still completely tax-free. And if you don't like Panama, you can still live somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing about this, and I illustrated it yesterday in my talk. You can live everywhere, not full-time, but like you can live 6 months in Sweden, 6 months in Australia, both countries with very high taxes, but you don't trigger those taxes. And that's a very nice thing about it, and your company is still completely somewhere else. Yeah?
Yeah, one last question. Anyone?
Did you have your hand up?
What do you guys think about El Salvador? What's the best or the most effective way to get tax residency there? And about the setup LLC, Delaware LLC plus residence in El Salvador?
Well, El Salvador is not really a territorial tax country whatsoever, so I really wouldn't want to be a tax resident of El Salvador. Their tax system is pretty horrendous, actually. I first went to El Salvador in 2003, and then I've been back since then, and sat down with the heads of law firms and with different ministers and government officials. I think the most exciting thing about El Salvador is that they're actually asking questions. They're looking outside of their own borders. They're bringing in consultants and people from other countries. They're looking at best practices, which is actually not very normal for government officials. They kind of just think that in most cases that they know best, and we don't need to look at other examples. They kind of, their influence stops at their borders. So I think that El Salvador is very exciting what's happening there. They've got a lot of work to do. I want to support them through this journey. I want to be there and I want to help them through it. But I am not moving to El Salvador tomorrow, and I'm not moving clients to El Salvador at the moment, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like Argentina, yeah? El Salvador is potentially very attractive, but they still have a lot of work to do because, as Mikkel said, in both countries, still the tax system is very bad. Still many other laws are very bad, and unless that changes, it's not interesting.
Correct.
And especially most of Latin America is actually interesting. Basically, all of Central America is tax-free. Mexico can be done tax-free, Belize, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, all tax-free, basically. Only El Salvador not. At the moment.
I'm told we have time for one more question, so one more.
There's one at the back there.
Hi, thanks. It seems like you both focus a lot on Latin America, which I'm sure has its perks, but I've heard other people talk about Asia, some Africa. Why particularly Latin America? Why not Asia, and why not Africa?
So from my side, I mean, I go wherever the freedom is. If Europe is going to do a complete about-face and Brussels is going to decide to be a bastion of freedom and we can live in these countries tax-free and they're going to respect your rights and private property and everything like that, great. I'm going to move to France. I was having an interesting conversation with someone about France. But that's not the reality, right? I'm going to chase freedom wherever it is. And if the winds change and it's no longer Latin America, then I will look somewhere else. But I'm not trying to make Latin America into something it's not, or try to go to somewhere which is not free. I'm really focused on freedom in every single form, and that shapes my decisions.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about Asia or Africa as well, but in general it's more complicated, yeah? You have great options. You can live tax-free in South Africa, for example. You can live tax-free in countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia. And we have a lot of clients going there, but in general it's more complicated. The visas are much harder to get, and for cultural reasons, you basically never get permanent residency. Few exceptions only, like Philippines. It's basically impossible to get citizenship, while in South America, in many countries, after 2-3 years, you can naturalize to citizenship. Also, tax laws are more complicated to understand. And it's just like, much more population, and you cannot
property rights, and there's so many other things.
Very bad property rights.
Horrible.
Integration is different. If you come to Mexico or Panama, you find local friends pretty quickly. In Asia, it will be a big issue, also language-wise. Yeah. So these are very interesting destinations. We cover all of them as well. But generally, yeah, it's not for everyone. Yeah.
Our time is up, and let's give a round of applause to Christoph and Mikkel for sharing their insights and also for their continuous support of the Free Cities movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.